it's always been my motto or goal to put positivity and happiness on the social media. Nowadays, I just make illustration which makes good impact on people's life.
Welcome to the Pixel Paper Podcast, a series where we get to know the creative processes behind up-and-coming digital artists. My name is Noor, graphic designer and work-in-progress artist, and I'll be your host for this series. Join me today to meet our happy-go-lucky artist whose wish is to spread positive vibes around the world. Krupesh is an Indian artist and graphic designer whose love of Pixar has led him to create inspired characters and illustrations that bring fresh and happy vibes to his Instagram feed. He shares his journey into the illustration world, as well as how graphic design has helped him, and how he uses his surroundings to inspire him. So sit back, get comfy, and enjoy. Hi Krupesh, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So for the benefit of our audience, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Krupesh Mistry and I'm an artist and a designer as well, as I'm now working as a full-time graphic designer and animator as well, which I do alternately at different times. And I'm also a freelance artist, and I'm from Ahmedabad as well, which is like a metro city of Gujarat, India.
All right. Okay, so I wanted to interview you more about your digital art actually, because we've been following each other for a couple of years. And
Yeah.
I remember the reason I followed you is because you have a very unique style. It's very kind of like Disney, like kids' cartoons type of
Yeah.
artwork. So could you tell us a bit more about your art?
Yeah, sure. So to be honest, it took years to get on this Disney, or I'll say the Pixar art style, which I've always been in love with. And illustration was not my major or the subject which I was interested in earlier days. So it all started back in 2012 when I completed my high school and wanted to get into the animation. So I went into this small institute here, and with that I was just doing my graduation because I wanted to more study about the animation, what was going on in that, and to work with the big studios we do have around the globe. And absolutely, like Pixar, they were the inspiration for all the time. And so I was studying kind of animation when they teaches you basics like drawings, proportions, and everything. After that, they moved to small animations like that you just have to do like assignments and everything. So when I started doing that, and you won't believe, when I started to do it myself, I literally got amazed. And I'm really like, I was really like, what is this thing? And definitely, I didn't turn out that thing into the as good as I was imagining at first. But after giving a couple of trials and trying again and again, the first animation went pretty much smooth and started getting into the shape. So that one day I was just sitting into my room and just thinking about all the things going around, and I thought about let's explore something more. Then I was just searching all about this Pixar, and starting to dig deep into this studio, like how they work, they behind the scenes and everything they do have, and I just fell in love with them. They do have a different kind of style, and the particular thing or cartoons you definitely understood that yes, there is the Disney kind of art style, or the animation. When you look at the the only that Pixar studios, they can do it, right? So after that, I started to make own my characters and everything, and started drawing everything turn into as- the drawings turn out into I started drawing new characters, and thought to have the turn them into the 3D models. And but every time I was making the Frankenstein's family members every time I draw the 3D models, because in the drawings it was looking good, but in the 3D models it was like yuck. So I actually stopped modeling and focus more and more over the illustrations. That From that day I actually uh, started doing illustrations more and more with focus. So I was just saying that so from all of those learnings about Pixar and Disney characters and anatomy, I put them all together and make my own new characters. How they should look, how they look, their own kind of thing, their own feeling, everything. I started to draw them. Whenever I get commission projects from people and they want their portrait or something, they ask me to have like look-alike character, which I do have the Disney kind of thing. And I always keep observing more people around me and then find their good faces and everything. I love them or to like turn them into my art style. So that's what my real inspiration comes from surrounding. And I guess many other artists also do the same. They observe a lot and they try to put something on paper or digitally on the computer. They want to put life into the things they saw the other day, or they put the feelings into it. In my earlier artworks, they were just the mixture of newbie, like a newbie who just started learning Photoshop and just applying everything, good filters and effects they find interesting. But that's not the final design. That's how you find your art style. So yeah, I actually deleted my Instagram account like a couple of times because I didn't like posting stuff on that, because I have various kind of art styles, like you name it, like comic art style, then flat design, then 3D designs. I don't know why I put that on to that, but still I did. But it's all about the the learnings you do and the tons of trials and errors you do in the earlier stage. So yeah, that's all good to make, and that's how you can find your own style.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks. That was a nice explanation, I think. So, have you been doing this since childhood, do you think? Like drawing and stuff?
I wouldn't say that. I was literally bad till fifth standard. I literally didn't know how to take a pencil and just draw anything. I couldn't draw even doodle or something. But I guess after seventh standard, I actually got interested in drawings on paper, which I don't draw on paper right now because I literally hate it, because there's no control set in that.
I think a lot of artists have that same issue of control Z. Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely. Yeah. So you said you're also into animation. Do you
Yeah.
post? I mean, I notice you don't really post much of your animation work.
Because I do have the knowledge about the basic things, like how the character should move, how they should react and then talk and everything. But I literally didn't know what actually goes into the animation, right? Because I wanted to learn something, so many things about that, but somehow later on, yes, that didn't turn out as much as I thought of it. So I actually left that animation part. But yeah, still I still do animation and the motion graphics as well. But that is just for the for the clients I do.
Mm. Mm-mm. So it's more for graphic design rather than illustration.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. How does illustration fit into your graphic design work? And how has it helped as well?
Yeah, so I always hated, I actually hated graphic designing, to be very honest. But eventually I just got into this and now I call myself proud as a graphic designer. So yeah, I actually don't put illustration in my graphics work until if clients wants me to do it. But apart from that, illustrations helps me to create a better compositing, better color palettes, and sometimes lets me to understand the vector illustration. Because let's suppose you have created something or took something outside from free websites, and clients want something behind from the other way, or some head movements or something, everything on the different perspective. So if you are the proper graphic designer, you don't know how to move that. But if you are an illustration artist as well, you know how to do that, right? Like from how the perspective will look from the different angle, or how they should look, and how the highlights and shadows goes into the different. So I've used my illustration styles into many packaging banners and even children's book as well, and on my other own products as well. And when you are doing both, you just understand that they require each other. Just like even illustration, sometimes the typography of the graphic designing helps me to complete the artwork. It's like back and forth thing. You need both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool actually. So, speaking of illustration, you mentioned like Illustrator. What softwares do you use to make your work?
I was using Photoshop and Illustrator for until now, and for like in the earlier days, I was using only Photoshop. And for the final editings like colors and all, uh, I I started to use Lightroom as well, Adobe Lightroom, which only collects the particular color and everything, and that then you can tweak it up a bit. But like from the last 2 years, I'm still using Procreate as well. So yeah, that was kind of a easy and feasible thing to draw on. Like you can take it anywhere and every time you can just draw.
Okay. Yeah, true, true. So your final artwork, is it vector or is it raster?
Definitely Rasta because
Oh,
I don't know how to turn it to the vector
okay.
illustration.
Okay. Because I'm asking because the edges are always so clean and crisp, so it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really nice actually.
That one thing just needs like a bit of patience, I guess, which I don't have. That's why I took a long days to complete that.
Do you start with a sketch before you go into the final drawing?
Not exactly because every artist has their own style, and
Mm.
from that view, I do take the ideas from the photographs, and
Oh,
whatever I see around, I just click them and take the idea of that from photographs.
oh. And how do you come up with these characters? I mean, you mentioned like real life inspiration, but I mean,
Yeah.
is there anything specific or anyone specific who inspires these characters?
What inspires me to draw the character is surrounding mostly the people, the animals, the birds, and the small things, and especially the cartoons. Most of the cartoons they put life into lifeless things, and you just love them. Like if you see the things in the Cinderella as well, or the Lady and the Lamb. So I've always been beloved that what if my action figure talks or something? What if my pencil turns into magic wand? And I always visualize that thing. So I know that sounds super silly, but mostly the surrounding inspires me. And apart from that, I'm mostly inspired by kids. I love
Uh-huh.
them a lot. Yeah.
Oh.
So, because that's the only thing till now which makes me happy at the end of the day. I just scroll my Insta with baby reels a lot. Because their real expressions, they hand gestures, eye movements, they smile, everything is just so pure that you put down that thing into the art. I
Yeah.
actually made so many artworks by inspiring them. And since I was into the animation field, I always keep looking around what's going on, and it could be anything like different walk of any person, different talking sense of any random person, or even two people like fights or anything. They all have different patterns, which I like the most. And sometimes I get so much excited that I just click something and can't wait to draw and just go home and put just draw them. Whenever I draw, I feel like someone is just beside me seeing what I'm drawing, and not in a scary way, but it's like I'm forming a whole character around me. And back of my head, I just create the whole story about the how the character should look, I mean, like Pixar and Disney does, right? They do have like great storytelling way, which we all cry about. And so, in my opinion, observing our environment around you helps you a lot to generate more ideas. And talking to people makes you better at creating storytelling, which you can put nicely under illustrations. People love that, yeah. So people love to hear stories from the art because they all are just kids somewhere inside, and they just remember when they used to listen stories from their close ones or and their grandparents, something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Um, your color palettes, they are very like bright and saturated. So how do you decide on these color palettes?
I actually never try my colors at first, or I put nothing on my artwork at the first. That's the end part of my illustrations. I always confuse to choose the right palette for my particular artwork. What I do is when I'm done with the basic part like drawings and layout and everything around it, I just try to feel the vibe. It's just like the instinct thing that you get, and it's like I'm all into that art. I want to feel the things around me, whatever I put into that, and when it feels right, like what kind of vibe I want to get with, I explore more photographs and so yeah, I want to feel the things around me, whatever I put into that art, and when it feels right, like what kind of vibe I want to get with, I explore more photographs to get the balance, because photographs are also a part of storytelling and memories. I keep the artwork's colors fresh because it gives a good vibe and fresh start to start the day. And I guess mostly everyone wants to see the happy things and around everything on social media, right? So that thing I try to put into things which makes someone stay better. Someone feels excited about it when they see my work on social
Mhm.
media.
Mhm. Yeah. So you don't start with the colors in mind. You end with the colors.
Yeah, actually, because in the Photoshop, let's say the technical stuff, you can
Mm.
always change the colors at the end of the art.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah. Yeah.
keep the thing at the end.
Okay. That's cool because some artists I've interviewed, they already have the color in mind, but they don't know what they're going to draw.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because even the whenever you are starting to make the artwork, sometimes whatever you have the thought and whatever you have imagined didn't turn out the way we imagined at the end of the artwork. So they definitely keep changing or keep exploring around. So it's better to take that thing at the end of the artwork.
Mm. Okay, cool. And yeah, I wanted to ask about movie references. You, in your Instagram at least, you show work which is centered around movies like The Grand Budapest Hotel or Looks That Kill. So, how do you let movies influence and inspire your work?
As I mentioned earlier, that storytelling is my inspiration, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously a good movie is definitely all about it.
Yeah.
Even this Grand Budapest Hotel, I've seen so many times, but I never looked at it closely. So one day I sat down and thinking like what to draw next and what the next artwork should be. And suddenly I saw this movie's artwork somewhere and thought, let me see that movie again and closely because I like the color palette and everything about it. So I started it again and took longer than the actual movie time. So because I paused it so many times at some point to felt the vibe and the scene, it's very it's every scene tells you a story. It's compositing its colors, even its background characters all has their own different and important, which I loved it. So that day I took around couple of shots and thought to which uh, which shot I should draw and the in my way, the different the art style I do I want to draw in my way. Even even that movie looks that kill movie is that storyline is pretty unique for sure, and definitely you have seen like similar movies, but this one movie has its own individual storytelling ideas because its lead character has its own fear of opening the layers of like the clothes or which he always covers his face with was is kind of an interesting idea to be like center of the story, or we can say center of the whole movie. So yes, the storytelling and the quirky screenplays always gets my attention to make characters on my own. And definitely every movie has their own tone to the color tone they do have. If that only one explains the whole movie. I mean, like if you see kind of the scary movie, if you see, let's take the scary movie, they do have like dark green earthy color white kind of vibes or the colors, or if you see like kind of inspiration movie, they do have green or yellow or something related to blue color as well. That gives you the hope or the fresh vibe. Yeah, definitely, because they do have the so many different shots and different ideas about the layouting or the compositing the whole environment around it.
So, who else do you go to for artistic inspiration besides movies, or what else?
Yeah, so there are a couple of artists I used to get inspired, or I actually get inspired by so many artists. because they all do amazing work and share the amazing tutorials and everything on social media. So my first inspiration was and still is uh, Loish. Have you heard about it?
Toys,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
she
Yes,
is
yes.
amazing,
Toys.
and I guess many people of you heard about that, and because so many people heard about her because just because of her very unique art style and the color she puts into the her art. So that one and the other artist is Beatrice Blue. She's in children's book illustrator and she tells amazing stories with her art. Even her color palette is so fresh, childish still, but still she mostly plays around nature or earthy colors, which I love the most, and that's why I get inspired from. When I started digital art, I started to. There were a couple of artists which I usually get inspired from when I started the digital art. So I used to watch this Loish and the Beatrice Blues tutorials and everything when I first started that, and started to bring to understand the journey step by step. Like what is the digital art? What how many things or everything should go into like the final artwork.
I noticed that you don't do backgrounds as much for the characters. So
Yes.
is that something you focus on less, or is there a
Yeah.
reason?
Not a reason because when I first started it, I actually wanted to make my own characters. Like like they have to tell the stories uh, what my characters should tell. So in earlier days, I started to draw only the characters, but recently I moved over to the environment as well and started to experiment with the landscape as well and started putting things around them to feel the whole scene. Recently, I have done one which is about the character who is like the homeless kind of, and he's stuck into the lonely road. Like there is no one around, so I started to put the car around it, which is like the broken one, and behind it there is kind of a desert kind of thing.
Your artwork always has a lot of positive vibes to it. Like you always have a lot of positive messages and things. So what does your art mean to you?
It's always been my motto or goal to put positivity and happiness on the social media. So earlier I used to tell good stories with my art, but now as we see like this COVID thing happened, and before that many other things were happening so fast and everything. So after seeing everything that people need hope, or they need something to push themselves, and they need something that can motivate them to do things they love to do, or from which they were just hesitating from doing. So after seeing everything, I started to make illustrations like that. That really reached pretty far better than I expected. Related to like positive vibes and everything. People love the way that I put positivity out there with mental health issues and menstrual pain and other motivational quotes. Because of that positive reply nowadays, I just make illustration which makes good impact on people's life. As well.
Hmm. So do you make illustrations consistently, like on a daily basis or weekly basis?
Not at all, because that is just kind of my, let's say, hobby thing, or that's kind of freelance as well till now. Recently, I just didn't wanted to get into the illustration because I was like, too much happy about the graphic design stuff. I was getting lots of projects about graphic design, so I literally stopped doing illustrations. So yeah, in recent times, I'm not that much active with the illustrations. But yeah, sure, I'm planning to do more when I get some time to do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Okay, now we'll move on to the last question, which I'm asking all the artists.
Yeah.
So the last question is, remember a time you were stuck in a deep creative rut? How did you break free?
So I guess all the people have different ways to get out of that zone into like their own way. I've been into that zone from long time. Like at first time I was like 8 months, and then the second time I was like 4 months. I'm like, what is going on? I actually couldn't know, or I mean, yeah, I mean, I actually couldn't know how to get out of that time, or because I've never seen anyone around like that who have faced the same thing. And actually, when I didn't know what to name it, to be honest, because I literally types like, how to get ideas on the Google and how to get ideas for to draw and everything. That definitely any newbie would do, right? Because they didn't know that what thing they what thing which what thing will help them, right? So I stopped drawing for a while and stopped the thought that I need ideas. I need ideas. It's definitely not gonna come out like that. I used to procrastinate a lot that time. So I watched tons of movies and sitcoms and stand-up comedies for a fresh start, just to release all that bad thoughts which were just keeping me down from drawing new things. And I used to talk with my friends, going to new places that you feel relaxed and uh, that helps you a lot to get back on the track. So basically, it's like, kind of try to believe that you don't know how to draw for some time. Like do totally different things that you have never tried and or was afraid to give it a shot. You're Yeah, I mean, definitely you can give your like that me time, spend time with your friends, talk with new artists, and definitely appreciate their efforts towards their work. And you can have a healthy talk with them, not like the competitive one. Yes, like they do have like the good work. I don't have. Definitely, you don't have to do that thing. So, and do the things that motivates you and makes you to feel yourself. And I guess that's all I've ever done to get out of the zone. I still and get into that zone, but somehow when I don't post much, I just tell myself like I don't want to post anything at all, and I don't have to post anything which doesn't make good impact. So, and definitely good things take time to make, and so that's okay to take all the time. And yeah, should take it and make something that's worth something sharing with people around you and even the social media.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, no, that was a really nice answer. I think especially because we feel the pressure to post on social media all the
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah,
So yeah, what you said about just taking your time to do it is nice. It's really, yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Krupesh. It was a pleasure to interview you.
Thanks, Noor. Thanks for having me. Finally, can have this kind of talk to everyone.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new. For me, I learned to take time in illustration and that it's okay to do other things in the meantime. Let me know how you enjoyed this over on Instagram, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Pixel Paper Podcast.